And
I
let
love
me
your
go ahead and
headset, by the
also,
way.
oh, thank you. I feel
So
like it,
professional.
I feel like it makes me look very phone line, but
Oh, I was thinking like elite podcast host. So I
oh,
like
there,
mine better.
I'll take elite podcast host. Yes, because, eventually we will be at that point.
Yes, yes, eventually.
All right. So before I actually hit go live in Facebook, I'm pretty casual about interviews. I feel like I know you well enough to think that's probably okay with you.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I am too. And I feel like that's when the best stuff comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Because, if we try to pre-plan our questions and our answers, then it just feels like dry.
Mhm.
So I trust that whatever is meant to come forth is exactly what comes forth and supports whoever needed to hear it. So, yay.
Same.
All right. One of my children is in the background going blah, 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 right now.
My kids are literally sitting in the car while I'm at the co-working space. I was like, you guys be good.
Yes. All right. We are live on Facebook.
Yay!
Oh, yeah. All right. All right, everyone. We're pretty silly over here. I want to introduce to you Dr. Nicole Woodard. It's such an honor to have you here, Dr. Nicole, because as I've gotten to have the opportunity to get to know you over the last several months and do some work with you and be coached by you and do a breathwork session with you, it just is so clear that like everyone needs breathwork.
Amen.
And I know that you've also had your own very unique fertility journey that the people here in this group or the people who are listening to this interview later on would be able to gather some wisdom from and find peace on their journey and in the process of learning how to use their breath to feel safe in their body and find that peace, um, really regain a lot of their power. So
Yes.
before we jump into that piece, can you just go ahead and give us an introduction of who you are, what you do, how you came to be here teaching breathwork?
Yeah. So, like she said, I'm Dr. Nicole Woodard. I got my doctorate in physical therapy in 2010. And fun fact, I wanted to be a physical therapist since I was 10 years old. And I got out into the profession and things really pivoted and changed for me. So I worked in Division 1 athletics, and then I started a sports performance program. I worked with CrossFit Games athletes and Olympians when I first started my business, and I always felt this disconnection. I felt like I wasn't good enough, that I needed to do better, I needed to work out more, I needed to learn more, I needed to love research more, all these pieces. And all along the way, also, I'm going through a fertility journey. We're going through an adoption journey personally. So there's a lot of just upheaval. When you thought you wanted to do something since you were 10, I also thought since a very young age that I wanted to be a mom. And now both of them are not panning out. And so it led me down a road of self-healing, which led me to neuro-linguistic programming. So the training that Dr. Katie and I did together. And it led me then to breath work, because it's actually really funny. I love breath work, but I didn't know that much about it. One of the top breathwork coaches in the world lives 30 minutes away from me. And he was doing this certification course. And I was like, man, I just love Jesse. He's so full of energy. And I feel like this just feels right. So I'm going to join. And holy moly, like mind blown. It was everything, the unconscious mind, the conscious mind, understanding and getting into the true healing state. And it brought together the physical therapy side, the mindset training side, all back into empowerment in your own body for me. And I was like, holy crap, this was like the one missing puzzle piece. And it's just been rapid fire ever since.
So for people here who maybe aren't aware of like what true healing can look like or feel like,
Mm.
and I know that you and I are both like very enmeshed in this world of accessing that point, but if you could pare that down to a couple sentences, like how would you describe it for people?
True healing looks like listening to every signal from your mind and body and emotions and spiritually, and feeling safe with all of them, whatever comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really always wonderful and refreshing to hear people who are on the same page because I've been in practice for a decade. And I would say, even being trained as a naturopath who's looking at all of the systems of the body as a whole, you're still just looking at the body,
Yes.
right? And now we know that there's like four bodies. We have the physical and the mental and the emotional and the spiritual. And if any one
Mhm.
of those is out of alignment, the physical body doesn't feel fully safe.
Yeah.
And so that's something that over, 10 years, especially treating patients with infertility, going like, all right, these person's labs really are normal. Everything physiologically, anatomically is checking out as normal. There's no reason that this person can't
Mm.
get pregnant. But then you start to talk about what their life looks like, feels like, what their childhood was like. And you see, like, oh, there's pieces of this puzzle that no one has put together. And they don't feel safe in their body. And if their body doesn't feel safe and it's constantly in this fight, flight, or freeze mode, it doesn't feel safe to conceive. So this is what led me down the road that led me to you and getting to do some of our training together. But the breathwork piece is something that I'm very much still exploring. And I was really excited to hear that you were doing this certification and teaching it. So tell us how breathwork helps the body to feel safe.
Yeah, so exactly what you just said. I like to liken some of the fertility stuff whenever it's not working, or even if someone has like hormone imbalances, meaning like maybe you notice that your estrogen's high, your progesterone's low, maybe you're like males in your life, that they're, even though they work out all the time and those kinds of things, that their testosterone is low. And then you start talking to them, like you said, and there's a lot of stress, right, in their body. So I liken it to, if you watch like The Walking Dead or any of these like post-apocalyptic society movies or books, would you really want to conceive and have a baby in those times? The answer is probably no, because that would be really scary. Your body doesn't actually know that it's just because Karen down the hallway is being a jerk to you at work every day. It doesn't know the difference between that and a zombie apocalypse or a war
Yeah.
or anything. Like, and so what breath work does is breath work really allows us to be in relationship with our unconscious mind so that we can actually tell what our unconscious mind is trying to communicate with us, because our unconscious mind is always trying to help us. It's helping us survive and thrive. That's really its only goal, is that. And so it then plays out. So I like to say that the physical body is the stage for the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind just like plays on this stage. But so often, how many of you guys have heard, just ignore it and keep pushing? This was definitely my
Mhm.
story. I went to, on my third round of IUI, something felt really wrong when we went for implantation. And I literally said to the doctor, or to the nurse, the doctor wasn't in there yet. And I said, something feels wrong. Can we just wait and sit out a month and come back? And she said, are you serious right now? And then she left. The doctor came back in and said, I hear we have a drama queen in here.
Oh, wow.
And so we did the implantation because I was still trying to people please at that point. And I was like, no, 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 I'm not a drama queen. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And I had an ectopic pregnancy. They didn't listen to me whenever I had my ectopic pregnancy either. I ended up having massive internal bleeding and big changes there. And so I had to have surgery. I had to have my fallopian tube removed on that side. And, as maybe some of you guys have been through similar stories. What breath work brought me back to was safety inside my body so that I could make decisions and actually know, is this just my brain telling me to be scared because we don't want another failure and I'm scared to spend this money again?
Mhm.
Or is this truly my body sending a signal, my unconscious mind trying to communicate with my conscious mind saying, please be in relationship with me. We need, for Nicole's survival, we need to change the course of plan today. And that's what breath work allows you to do in the moment. And when you train it often, it becomes second nature rather than something we've forgotten about.
Thank you for sharing that story. And it's heartbreaking to know that you had to go through that to learn the lesson. Uh, and I mean, we have hundreds of people in this group, and I'm sure there will be hundreds of people who listen to this interview after the fact. Like, I know for a fact that there are other people who have gone through that in this group. And while you and I both know that all of these events are things that we can gather wisdom from, and even though they are hard and terrible and no one should have to go through them, that they are all happening in a way that we can learn and heal with. But if we can prevent someone else from having to go through that, that'd be amazing. So where would someone start with learning this tool so that they can release all of these indecisions that, they're second guessing themselves and fighting themselves and not being able to advocate for themselves? Like, where do we begin with learning this?
Do you want to begin right now?
Obviously.
Perfect. So here's number one. Number one, you want to find, there's a lot of practitioners out there for breath work, and some of them will actually delay your healing process, even though it looks like the best healing you've ever experienced. What I mean by that is when you see practitioners and they have people writhing on the floor, people crying and screaming and all of those things, that is not actually safety inside of our body. So, can we have large emotional responses? Yes. And if something like that comes up and we're nasal breathing, we're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, out through the mouth. If we can't breathe out through the nose, what happens is we're still in protection mode. So, let's just think about fight or flight is like over here, and rest and digest is over here. It's a continuum, right? You're not like, I'm in rest and digest now, or I'm in fight or flight now. It's a continuum, right? We're constantly moving between the two. And so when we spend most of our time in fight or flight, we have to find a practitioner that's willing to take time to move us into rest and digest, because that's the only time that we can feel safe in our body. That does not look like this. Hold, right? Which is what you guys will see from a lot of the very, very well-known practitioners out there. What
Yeah,
that
I'm going to
does is,
pause you just very briefly to tell
yeah,
people, if you're listening to this recording as a podcast, come back into the Fertile Mind, Fertile Body Facebook group so you can actually see the video where Dr. Nicole just did that level of breathing so you can see what we're talking about. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So that hyperventilation breathing, breathing in through the mouth and out through the mouth very rapidly, and then doing long sustained holds after that. When we're advanced at breath work, when we're advanced at stress management, we can go there. It's a great place to go. You will get very euphoric, like lots of cool stuff happens. When we are in trauma in our body, when we haven't dealt with inner childhood wounds, when other things are going on, we already don't feel safe. And then we shove ourselves farther into fight or flight. What happens is that we actually end up attaching, like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I had that breakthrough and then I went home and I don't know how to function anymore. Or I can only get that kind of breakthrough when I'm working with Dr. Katie. It's the only time it comes up, or whatever other, like, I'm going to say guru, because a lot of them
Mhm.
are gurus that are operating this way. And so whatever other way. So you want a practitioner that literally says, hey, come and do breath work with me. And also, this is stuff that you can literally leave tomorrow from this podcast, from this Facebook Live. You guys are going to be able to leave and you can go do breath work on your own and have a very, 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 very effective experience. So that's where to start. The practitioner who's leading you, and then nasal breathing in through the nose and out through the nose as often as possible, or in through the nose and out through the mouth if it's not possible for you.
Thank you for sharing that, because when our training for NLP, hypnosis, QTT ended, I was, that was such a mind-blowing experience. I was telling everyone about it, and I was telling one of the doctors who works in my office specifically about QTT and being able to clear trauma in a way where you gather all the learning from it. So you're not just sitting in the trauma with that like awareness that like, wow, that happened. And now I'm just marinating in it and I don't know how to move forward. And she described an experience that she had. At this point, it's been about 15 years, where she went to a breathwork ceremony. So there were like hundreds of people there, and they were doing some holographic breath work that resulted in her becoming acutely aware of a childhood trauma she had experienced, and she got stuck in it and she couldn't get out of it. And to this day, I mean, she's almost 50 years old. She is like afraid to use any tools that could potentially bring her back into that state.
Mm.
So I think that's really important that you brought that up about gurus. And yeah, so
Heartbreaking.
yeah.
And again, it goes back, it doesn't matter if it's a doctor, it doesn't matter if it's a guru, it doesn't matter. Like, Dr. Katie and I talk about this, like, we literally go through, and whenever we meet with clients and are asking them to come and be a part of a program or anything, we are asking them to check us out as much as we're checking them out.
Yes.
If this doesn't feel right and aligned for you, then this isn't right for you, but we will help you find the right practitioner because there's other people that might fit well for you. It's about encouraging people to get back into their own empowerment, get back into their own body and their own mind, connecting. And it's really whole self, right? Like, it's back into your whole self, your truest, authentic self, and making decisions from there. And some of you guys, for me, like, I've probably only been in that place in the last year and a half. Like, there was so much baggage that I had to deal with, and QTT, NLP, breath work, they were all tools that were able to help me move. And I was very lucky that I had people that allowed me to say, like, no, this doesn't feel right now. I'm not going to do this, and held my hand. And then when it did feel right, I could come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So other than nasal breathing and having that discernment between like who is actually qualified to teach us in a way that will give you tools that you can use on your own, where do we go next with this?
Yeah, so let's go to techniques. How about that? Because techniques are always fun. So if you're not driving and listening to the podcast, or if you are, just stop or pause or come back to it. What I want you guys to do is, I just want you to take a moment and I just want you to close your eyes. And I want you just to become aware of your breath. Because you've been breathing this whole time. And your unconscious mind was taking care of you. That's the survival and the thriving that I was talking about. And it's been allowing you to breathe. And I want you to begin to follow that air. With each inhale in through your nose, down through your throat, down into your chest and your lungs. And then with each exhale, out of your chest, out of your throat, out of your nose. This internal awareness is how we first begin a relationship. So imagine this is dating. Your conscious mind is asking your unconscious mind if we can date, if we can be in a deep relationship together, saying, hey, I'm interested in you. I'm interested in all the things you got going on. And we're just staying inside of our body. this may be the first time that you've experienced being inside of your body. If this is difficult and you're having trouble following that air, come along with me on one more. I want you to take your hand and place it across your chest. And just have your fingertips just below your collarbone. And you'll begin to feel your heartbeat. And that heartbeat is your unconscious mind communicating with you and saying, wow, I love you so much. I've just been keeping your heart beating here at about 65 beats per minute for the whole freaking day and last night while you slept. Thank you for bringing awareness to this, because our unconscious mind uses our body as a stage. Now take a moment. You can relax your hand if you want and just scan your body. Maybe start at your head. And we're on the inside of our body. And I want you to scan your head down through your throat, down through your arms. And we're just being curious. What's happening here? Maybe you see some colors, maybe some shapes, maybe some feelings. Down through your chest, your abdomen. Spend some time along your spine. Down into your pelvis and your hips. This was an area for me for a long time that was actually black. There was really nothing here. Until with breathwork, I started to build it and started to become aware of what was here. What's here for you? Down into your legs and into your feet. And again, it's so important when we're in relationship with our conscious and our unconscious mind in relationship together. We're not looking for what should be here, or what parts feel right, or what parts feel wrong. We're just being curious. What is here? We're getting to know each other. If you're ever in a relationship and they said, oh, you should have worn a dress to this date, or, oh, I like your hair better that way, you wouldn't stay in that relationship for very long. So don't judge how your unconscious mind is using your body as its stage. Instead, just look. And then go ahead. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Imagine that your feet have pores and you can suck in air from your feet all the way to your head. So on this next inhale, deep breath in all the way from your feet up to your head. And then you're going to let it go with a let's do 2 more deep breath in. And 1 more deep breath in. Come with a smile on your face. We're waking back up and letting it go with a and letting your eyes come back open, come back to now. Welcome to Breathwork.
That felt really lovely for me. I played along.
I saw all your parasympathetic yawns.
Oh yeah. I mean, something about working with you guides me there very quickly. And just for those of you watching or listening, it's really normal to have responses like yawning or belching or your tummy rumbling when you're doing these activities that actually are activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So when I'm doing this type of when I'm guiding someone into like hypnosis trance and they start yawning and then there's oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes. And even other signs, guys, everything, there is nothing wrong. So even if, as you did this, you start to notice that your mind's wandering, it's pinging all over the place and you're like, I can't settle down. I can't be calm. That's okay. Your unconscious mind is just telling you, hey, there's other things that I'm still worried about here. And you can just literally say, hey, thanks for reminding me. Keep a piece of paper by and just write down and then come back to the breath. Just come back to traveling through your nose, down your throat, and into your lungs. you're just reminding your unconscious mind, hey, you don't have to rush me so much because I'm here and I'm actually going to be in a relationship with you now. I'm actually going to listen to you. So whether you got quiet and sleepy, whether you were burping, whether your tummy's rumbling, whether your mind's running all over the place, it doesn't matter because it's all your unconscious mind ready to be in relationship with you, ready to talk to you.
That's beautiful. Something I notice is that, and of course, this is part of our training, is that you had very gentle language that felt curious versus judgmental. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So when you guys hear your own inner monologue, maybe it's not very kind. Maybe it's like how mine used to be, which is, oh, Nicole, like, I can't believe you didn't plan your day better. I can't believe that you forgot about that. Oh my gosh, are you really going out of the house looking like that? Those types of things. Or maybe for some people, whenever I was going through my fertility journey, it was like, well, everyone else can get pregnant, but I can't. I've tried
Mhm.
everything and it doesn't work for me. What I want you to notice is I want you to think about that voice. Who does that voice sound like? Is it somebody that you know? Is it like, oh, it reminds me of the Wicked Witch of the West off of the Wizard of Oz? Or, oh, it reminds me of my grandma or my mom or my dad? What you will find is it's actually not the voice of yourself. Yourself rarely speaks to you that way. Now, it could be an inner child speaking to you. You might be like, well, it's me, but me at like 12 years old. That also is indicative of like, hey, maybe we need to go back there. Maybe she wants us to know something that she'll stop
Mhm.
talking to us like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so the reason that we use curious language is because the unconscious mind, one, it loves demands, but nice demands. So it loves if you say, I'm like, I want to get a new red Ferrari. It's going to show you red Ferraris everywhere because you gave it a command, right? If you were just like, sometimes I like to think about red Ferraris, but I mean, do I really want one? I'm not sure if I want one. I probably shouldn't want one because that's just really flashy and that's just totally not me. That's not yourself either. So we want to give commands whenever we're doing breathwork style stuff because we want our unconscious mind to wake up and to pay attention to us. The other thing is that we want curious and open language because what Katie experiences is not the same as what I'm going to experience, is not the same as what you're going to experience. Because if all of us, if we literally knew, oh my gosh, I have anxiety, I feel it in my stomach, and it's always this. And if I take these three supplements, and if I do breath work this way, and I go back and I heal my inner childhood from 3 to 5 years old, everything's going to be great. If we all knew that, if it was all the same, if our unconscious minds were trying to tell us all the same thing, like the job would be done, right? But we all get conditioned in different ways. Your unconscious mind is developed from the age of 0 to 7. Think about what a 0 to 7-year-old likes. They love curious questions. They love you
Yep.
being inquisitive and interested. So be like that when you speak to yourself, when you're trying to become more. Everybody talks about embodiment, but embodiment is just curiosity about what's happening in there.
Yeah. I actually love that. I have a patient who's experiencing secondary infertility, and her 3-year-old is going through the why phase.
Mhm.
And as we have been doing all of this work together to clear old emotions and process the initial fertility journey that she had with her 3-year-old that she had never really had the time or space to process, she's really enjoying this phase with her 3-year-old asking these why questions and like getting into this playful, curious mode with her instead of being like, oh my God, why do you keep doing that? That's so annoying. And I think when we can also be more playful and curious with ourselves, our body responds differently. So you're very, very right on the nose here about like asking those questions of like, what is wrong with me? Like, why doesn't my body do what I want it to? Like, all of, I have like a list of probably 20 of those types of questions that I've heard from my fertility patients, ranging from like, why does it happen for everyone except me, to why is my body broken? Why has my body failed me? And if we can shift into more of a like, hey, body, what are you trying to tell me
Mm.
mode, and access that listening, build that relationship, use the tools like breath work. And I know you use a lot of tapping too. I love
Yeah,
tapping,
me too.
um, and journaling and movement and ways that are nourishing to the body instead of like punishment. Like, we have so much more opportunity for healing.
And notice that, I mean, I know that everyone that works with you knows this, but everything that you just said was stuff that everyone can do by themselves. Notice that you didn't say, like, and then you need to come in and specifically have this sit down session. It's not that we don't do those sessions, right? Like I have group coaching, I have one-on-one coaching, but the thing is that the tools that we use on ourselves and the tools that we end every session with are about you coming back to your body. What nourishes you? Do you like to journal? Do you like breath work? Do you like to meditate? Do you like
Mhm.
movement? It doesn't matter to us what you choose. It's actually the only thing that matters to us is that you choose something because it feels good to you.
Mhm.
And that's why we always come back to those things. So I think it was really powerful that you have all these tools that you could just administer to someone. But everything you just mentioned is about people coming back to themselves. And I think that's
Absolutely.
really powerful.
Yeah. And even, for me, like acupuncture is a really um, important modality for me as a provider. Like, I
Mm,
love administering acupuncture. I love seeing my patients come out just like so relaxed. We love seeing the result from it. But I've had scenarios where people are, they're moving out of state, and they then start to feel stressed. They're like, well, I can't get my acupuncture with you anymore. And I'm like, your body can access that state. Like,
mhm.
you don't actually need me for that. Now, we may choose to do that because it feels good and it's a very easy way to get there, but you can lay down and say, hey, body, hey, unconscious mind, do you remember where those points were? Because we've done it 50 times over years. Like, can you remember where those points were? Can you help me get into that nice, floaty, but supported state where I can access that authentic place within me? Like, it's all possible. Uh,
Mm,
So yeah, these are all
freaking
just
good.
tools, and the tools themselves are neutral, right?
Yep.
There's no good tool, there's no bad tool. IVF is not bad, IUI is not bad. They're all just tools. And
Yep.
the tools are neutral, but we have to learn for our own selves which tool actually feels good and makes sense. And that's also where I feel like we align in our ideas about just giving people options. But at the end of the day, like, you've got to learn to tune into your own intuition on it.
100%. And that's where breath work takes you. That's where, and some people just need that extra guiding or the tick of a metronome, 4x4 breathing. I want you guys to know what we did was breath work, but you didn't hear me counting a breath. You didn't hear me, saying, okay, we're going to do like a box breathing. We're going to do, sip, sip, poo. We didn't do any necessarily techniques, but we still did breath work. And that's how I start every session. And then we add techniques, and then techniques continue to facilitate those changes in neurotransmitters, those changes in hormones, those deepening of us getting our body to continue to respond the way we want, because not because we're controlling our body, but because we're in relationship with our unconscious mind and we're listening to it. And you'd be surprised how much it will improve all the things that you want. And you're like, oh man, I was trying to like will myself there. It wasn't
That's a
working.
really important, and I think I'd love to hear what your experience was with control when it comes to the fertility journey, because that's just, it's an area that like you don't actually have control over. And for people who like having a sense of control and have always been, very type A perfectionist, that can contribute to a real unraveling of everything they thought that was true.
Hello. That was the start of my healing phase. That's why I say I'm so grateful for. I don't think hard things happen, right? And I don't think that hard things have to happen to get transformation. And sometimes they're a medium that if you want to find reasons to heal within them, you can. And so I thank my journey for that, because I don't think I was going to wake up and actually become the person that I needed to. I needed that much friction in my life at that time to actually listen to myself. But yeah, mine, very similar story, right? So I graduated with my doctorate's degree. I finished that degree in 6 years. So very like perfectionist, always driving, valedictorian in my class, like all of these pieces. I got a job. I started 3 weeks after I graduated. I got my passed my boards, immediately started studying for and getting prepped for a specialization thing. I got married right away. We bought a house right away as soon as I was out of school. So I graduated in like May 5th, and July 24th got married. We bought a house in between there. So I was like, this is the plan. And then next in the plan is the baby. And I remember going and being like, okay, we're going to start having a baby. Like, this is so exciting. And month went by, nothing. Another month went by. By month 3, I'm already like kind of ticked, because like I get things done and I get them done quickly and I do them really well. Like, why is this not happening for me? Month 6, month 7, all of a sudden people start giving you advice. Like, I know you've been trying. Like, my grandma, she had sex 17 ways of Sunday and 30 times a month every single day. And what do you know? She got pregnant with twins. So like we're going through all of these like really horrible things, legs up for 25 minutes. And um it was because I was trying to grab control wherever I could. I'll try anything, I'll do anything because of these pieces. And then that's how my relationship started in the medical world too. It was like, I'll do any test, whatever you tell me is next, I'm going to do next. And I started walking down that way, and I lost myself more and more and more and more and more every time. And it was really, I think for me, it felt like I was losing myself. But at the bottom of it, I was finding myself, because I was only trying to be myself by controlling everything. So losing myself was actually just realizing I had absolutely no control whatsoever. And so I was making all these choices trying to make control, and it was taking me farther away from my goal, farther away from the happy person I used to be. I mean, I remember giving myself shots in the middle of birthday parties, going to the bathroom and like needing to take a break to take fertility shots. And I'm like, none of this was feeling right for me. There is no problem for it as long as it feels right for you. It wasn't feeling right for me. I wasn't in the right mindset. So yeah, coming back to that unraveling of realizing we really don't have control. All we have is our relationship with self, and how that self relationship relates to other people and relates to the rest of the world. That's what balance looks like. That's what alignment looks like. And I very quickly realized I had none of that, and let the healing journey begin.
Yeah. Yeah. I I know that there are going to be some people who maybe aren't ready to hear that, who may be listening, and that's okay. All we can do is lead a horse to water. We can't force someone to drink. But I think it's also really important for people to hear this from someone who has been through it and has made peace with it and learned from it and been able to connect with their highest self in the process. So, how could people learn more about breathwork, and how can people find you if they want to continue doing this type of work with you?
Yeah. So Instagram at Mobility Athletes is probably the best way to find me. I'm also Nicole Woodard on Facebook if you guys happen to find me, but I can like actually add to the group and share in there too. But Instagram's the best place to find me, or mobilityathletes.com is my website. So you guys can find anything there. We're actually launching our group coaching program right now, which is super fun. So it starts September 5th. And the very first week we do breath work. It's all about physical body tools. So if that interests anyone, I would love to share. You also, if you register by August 25th, you get a free one-on-one with me. So we dive into whether it's breath work, whether it's mindset, any of those pieces as well. And then all of November and all of December, I will be doing breath work 2 times every single week because insulin levels rise significantly when we have lots of family events. Actually has nothing to do necessarily with the food that we're eating. They've done a lot of studies on it, but it's really the stress of financial stress, relationship stress with families, lots of different like changes, travel that comes up. So in order to combat that stress, we'll be doing breath work. That's going to be some masterclass series for those
Through
2
the
months.
holidays.
So
That's genius.
like healthy, stress-free holidays. I mean, who doesn't want that? Come on.
I think everyone should want that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in here and teaching us about breath work. I hope there's at least one person who's listening to this and has an aha moment. And if that's you, shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram and just let us know what about this conversation really rang true for you and you were able to gather something from it, because we love knowing, what helped and what you want to know more about. So thank you guys who are listening. Thank you, Dr. Nicole, for being here. And let's all learn how to breathe, guys. Let's get safe in our bodies and feel empowered to make decisions that are aligned for us. That sounds really good.
Females are going to take women are going to take over the world. Like it's happening. We can feel it, like big changes. And when this transition happens, it is going to be a successful transition when we are balanced and whole selves, right? That's how we're going to make the best decisions and really move our world, your world forward. It's how we become great mothers. Like, yeah, it's going to be freaking awesome. So don't be scared to do the work. Don't be scared to do the work in the doctor's office. Don't be scared to trust yourself, do the work intuition wise, journaling wise. Don't be scared to reach out to Dr. Katie or I. Yeah, this is going to be, it's a fun journey. And when it's not fun, that's what we're here for too, is just to support and really lean into that.
Absolutely.